Mt Etna dominates the landscape of Sicily. At 3,300 metres, it's the tallest volcano in Europe. The mountainside is dotted with large and small cones from various eruptions. This is what's left of a house destroyed by lava in 1971. It had been 3 stories high. This cable car has also been destroyed and rebuilt twice. We are 2,500 metres above sea level, higher than Mount Kosciuszko. Etna's summit is a further 800 metres above. To get closer, we're taking a bus, a sort of snow tractor bus, because it's February, the middle of winter here. Not that there's been enough snow for a ski season this year.
So this is a new experience for us, riding in a snow tractor. Sort of bone-shattering, shaking, because there isn't actually a lot of snow, but it'd probably be too slippery for a four-wheel drive.
400 metres below the summit, the end of our ride.
$3,900 metres. No, that can't be right. 2,900. Pretty high though. You can feel it.
Inside the main crater, so the one little mount from the little explosion and the little lava flow.
It must be difficult for the guides to remember all of the different eruptions in history here. The mountain reshapes itself all the time. Even Etna's height isn't constant.
This is the lava, this is the stones. It's another one eruption. The south is the crater. So the one eruption could start in the March, April 2017.
We're visiting the Mont Barbagallo crater, just a few hundred metres below Etna's summit. It was created by an eruption in 2001. It's not every day that you get to fly a drone at such a high altitude. Or to walk beside ice-filled craters. Below a still smoking volcano.
Yeah, so here we are. It's just under 3,000 metres, so we're on the side of Mount Etna. That's the active peak you can see right at the top there.
We're very lucky to be here on such a clear day. The panorama is breathtaking.
This is the eruption in 2001, so the 20 days activity. But this is the crater, so 7 days activity. Imagine the new eruption, the post will start up, down, change very, very fast.
So we could see Syracuse, Catania, Taormina, Messina and Calabria, more than 600 kilometers of seashore. You are very, very lucky today. This is Taormina. And Naxos. Naxos is Taormina on the beach. Was the first Greek colony of Sicily, 733 years before Christ. After Naxos, Syracuse. Later, when Syracuse grows, the tyrant of Syracuse, Gerone, reached Naxos and destroyed the city. The survivors go up on the hill and 500 years before Christ founded the city of Taormina. The old name was Tauromina. Taurus means bull, like a Taurus, like a zodiac. If you invert Tauromina, become Minotauro, Minotaur, a mythological figure of a man with a bull head. For a Greek gentleman, the hill was like a bullhead. And they call it the village like the famous myth of Crete, the Minotaur. So this is the land of myth. Cyclops, Medusa, Minotaurs, my mother-in-law, several monsters.
The views may be spectacular, but if we needed any reminder that we are standing on an active volcano, the ground beneath our feet is still warm, still releasing heat, 20 years after the eruption that made this crater. Below Etna is the city of Catania, shaped by the volcano and built out of its black volcanic rock. Catania is the second largest city in Sicily and one of the oldest. It was founded by the Greeks 2,700 years ago. It became Roman almost 500 years later, in 263 BC. You can still find evidence from those ancient times. This amphitheatre looks dilapidated and not particularly special, but that's because modern stadiums use pretty much the same design. But this one was built 2,000 years ago and hosted performances for up to 7,000 people. Nearby in Catania are ruins of an even larger amphitheatre. Only a small section of it still remains, the rest built over by the living city. But what's left is a powerful reminder of what once was. 2,000 years ago, this was a very big structure, Colosseum-sized, capable of seating up to 15,000 people. It had an oval-shaped arena, 1.5 times bigger than an Olympic swimming pool. You can still walk upon part of it and imagine all of the footsteps that have been here before. So much history in Sicily, everywhere you go. Of course, you would expect to find a lot of Roman heritage in Sicily, but some of it is just astonishing, like these tiled mosaics, almost like paintings, in this Roman villa. Whoever built it must have been extremely wealthy in 400 AD. It's one of the richest and largest collections of Roman mosaics that still survive, 3,700 square metres of beautiful mosaics. The biggest section depicts the hunting of exotic animals in Africa, including rhinoceros, and loading them on ships for the journey to Rome. Another section is famous for its athletic women, depicted in all the stages of a pentathlon. They are sometimes referred to as the bikini girls, except this mosaic was created 15 centuries before any modern bikini. In all of the years since, people haven't changed very much. But long before the Romans, Sicily was Greek. This is the temple of Concordia, near Agrigento, in the middle of Sicily's south coast. It's the best preserved of 7 great temples that once stood along this ridge. For some reason, the ridge is called the Valley of the Temples. Most of the ancient temples built here are now ruined, but they still command a very real presence.
If you look at this one behind me, it was built about the same time as the Pantheon, within about 10 years. The Pantheon, the one in Athens, is much bigger, maybe twice as big, twice as high certainly. And if you look at it more closely, you can actually see inside there's the remnants of a basilica, a Christian church, which they adapted it to in about the 6th century AD. At that time this would have been 800 years old. But because it was a Christian church at that time, it wasn't destroyed like so many of the other pagan temples and stuff that were around this part of the world. The other reason why it's still standing is because where it happens to be built, there's a layer of clay underneath, and what that does, it's like a sort of a shock absorber which has protected this building from various earthquakes that have happened over the centuries. I mean, you are looking at something that is 2,450 years old.
The Valley of the Temples, like so many places in Italy, has been declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site. But what you might not know is that the UNESCO logo itself is based upon the 6-column design of the Temple of Concordia. That's an amazing legacy for the modern world from the Greeks of Sicily nearly 2,500 years ago.